I'm Tania Gustafson, award-winning nutritionist, behavior specialist, and certified mental wellness coach on a mission to help midlife women move from barely surviving to thriving. You have been lied to. Weight gain, mood swings, hot flashes, brain fog, despite what the world and even your doctor may have told you, do not have to be your story. You are not broken. You've just never been shown how to fuel your body in a way that creates hormonal balance. Fit Woman Podcast is where we expose the lies and share all things to help women take back control of their health, hormones, weight, and mental wellness and thrive through midlife. I'm so glad you're here. Hello there, and welcome to the Fit Woman Podcast, where we explore all things to help women fuel their bodies, ignite their metabolism and their minds to thrive through midlife. So I am your host, Tania Gustafson, and today I am super excited to have a good friend and a fitness coach here with me, Shannon O'Gorman, a local legend in Kelowna. She's a kinesiologist, exercise physiologist, and menopause transformation coach with over 25 years experience helping women rebuild their strength, restore metabolic and hormonal health, and just feel powerful in their bodies again. So Shannon has an amazing story that she's going to share with us today. And we're also going to talk about how she helps women with her fat loss formula to master your metabolism in menopause. So thanks for coming on today, Shannon. I'm super excited for this.
Thanks, Tanya. You know, that's the million-dollar question in menopause right now. How do I burn fat? How do I keep my muscle? And how do I live longer? And those actually should be the three main questions that we should be asking ourselves. But really learning how to nourish our bodies, not restrict, how to truly ask ourselves at the end of the day is, what does health truly mean to us? What does wellness mean to us? Because I know a lot of us who are going through hormonal challenges right now, we don't feel good. We feel exhausted. Our energy's low. We feel burnt out, overwhelmed, stress every day, on top of some of the hormonal imbalances that are happening when estrogen starts to drop. And a lot of females don't realize some of the symptoms that are going on. There's over 100 symptoms that are related to perimenopause. And I'll tell you my story in a bit, but I probably had about 99 of them and suffered immensely through that. And that was actually almost 20 years ago. So, back then there wasn't a lot of information on hormone health at all.
Like zero. I heard nothing about it. Right? You and I are both in the industry. We're going to these conferences where no one mentioned anything about this at all.
And it's, it led me that, I like to say, you find purpose in your pain. Yeah. And that's what kind of really led me to help teach and lead women so that they don't have to suffer like I did. That was 10 years of my life where I felt like I wanted to die every day, every time I got up. And it was like, if someone had actually told me I had a chronic condition or I had cancer, I could actually, have some explanation on why I felt so horrible every day. And there was things that I was doing leading up to perimenopause. I actually hit it at 30, so quite a bit earlier than most people.
Yeah, you're a bit of a unicorn there, right? And that sort of, I think, gives you a greater amount of experience and expertise to help women through this, really.
Yeah. And, because we didn't know a lot about the time, there hasn't been a lot of research, really only, I would say, in especially the last year, last 6 months. I'm sure a lot of you guys that are, going through menopause yourself, everything's popping up on your social media. And there is a menopause movement going on right now, which is amazing to see. There's a lot of practitioners that have come on, but still women are really in the dark. Doctors are really in the dark because they just don't learn hormone health in the residency. And so many women are, putting trust in their doctors, expecting them to know this, but they actually only get 0 to 1 hour of hormone health in their entire residency. And that is like in the dark ages by now, right? Okay. Like we study this stuff every day, 24 hours a day, if we're not at work and we're, around all this all the time. So we get to, see what's going on with women and help them see what works. I have a network of medical professionals as well too that I work with and refer to that I use myself as well. I was very blessed. I had one of my very best friends is a renowned naturopathic physician who actually specializes in oncology, and she really helped me. She probably saved my life several times. And one of my natural paths here as well, Dr. Karen Wagstaff, has really helped me through a lot of things that were related to hormone issues, health, immune function, everything that kind of happens, and we'll kind of unpack some of that.
Right.
But what I wanted to let some of the females know, I wanted them to be able to, relate with some of the things that are going on because, when you're going through that shift and, 100% of women will go through menopause,
Yeah.
right? Only about 85% of them will have symptoms, but because our life now is so high stress, we have so much processed food, there's so many hormone disrupting things in our lives as far as like the environment, the pesticides on our food, the things that our food are being sprayed with, the chemicals, our skin care products, our hair care products.
Hmm.
Women actually leave the house with 200 times more hormone disrupting chemicals on their body than men.
Ooh.
So, and you probably see this yourself as well, is so many women are having brutal hormone symptoms now, right? We
Yeah.
didn't see that like 20 years ago. It definitely was
Mhm.
there, but it is crazy how much symptoms and how much women are suffering and they don't know where to turn. And a lot of times they're going to their doctor. So, if you're a female and you've ever gone to your doctor and you say like, I just don't feel the same, or I'm gaining weight, and you've changed
Mhm.
absolutely nothing in your regimen and wondering really what's going on. Sometimes doctors will prescribe SSRIs for anxiety, depression when it's a hormone issue,
Yeah.
right? So it might numb how you're feeling, but it never gets to the root issue.
Mhm.
The doctor might say, "Hey, what age are you? You're over 40." Oh, well, this is you aging. So a lot of women feel if they're over 40, they're over 50, they're like, "Oh, this is the end of my life," where it should be the best years. But it's just we're not
Absolutely.
getting the education and being taught hormone health and what we really need to on how to protect ourselves from the long term. I like to unpack a little bit about, some of those things that we have to really think about and change our mindset around letting go of skinny and thin, because skinny and thin, is going to lead to
Yeah.
frailty and death, like early
Yeah.
death and all core morbidities, right? You
All of
know,
them.
the
Yeah.
And the three most important things for longevity, one of them
Hmm.
is your muscle mass.
Yep.
Yeah. One of them is actually the absence of processed foods in your
Yeah.
diet. And the third one is a sense of community and purpose.
Yeah. Makes
And
sense,
that,
right? They
yeah,
do, right? I mean,
seems
we
so
used to say it
simple.
takes a village. It seems so simple, right? But I know that if you look at those blue zone places and those places where people live longer and whatever, sometimes they're not all, super fit or whatever, but they have that community. They have less processed food. They have cleaner environments. They have, there's all about those things. There's just fewer things that are upsetting their apple carts, basically. So what happened in your life specifically that got you to specialize in the hormonal balance, the gut health, the mental wellness, like it's a whole body transformation in menopause, right?
Yeah, so my journey is I grew up, I was very high level athlete. I was a soccer player. I was one of those type A personalities, working 3, 4 jobs, going to university, completely neglected sleep. I used to live off 2, 4 hours of sleep for probably about 6 years.
Oh my.
Lived on thermogenics just so I could stay awake in school and go to work. Right? Complete burnout, right? Completely burn out my adrenals. For women, we're taught to are expected to be everything for everyone. And a lot of times, just even our personal expectations of ourselves that we need to be everything to everybody and we need to be doing everything runs us ragged and burnout. And sometimes we need to step back. And I didn't realize that until too late, but closer to my 40s, that, I really need to prioritize self care. I need to slow down. I need to rewire what I was doing because I was always fighting weight gain for me, even though I was super athletic. When I was really struggling with weight, I was doing a huge amount of exercise, way too much cardio, which was jacking up my cortisol. So my body could never release fat because it was in this fight or flight constantly all the time. I wasn't sleeping. There goes my cortisol spike. I had brutal digestive issues because cortisol creates a lot of inflammation in your body. If you're not sleeping, that's going to create inflammation. And if you're not prioritizing sleep as well too on a regular time or even the volume of time you're sleeping, your body actually detoxes your hormones at night. So I wasn't detoxing my hormones, right? I have estrogen building up because my body's not detoxifying for it. I'm not rebalancing my hormones, which happen at night because there's no sleep. And then you have this elevated cortisol that's happening, right? So when I have females that say they're doing everything right. They're doing their nutrition, they're doing their exercise, and they're like my body is just holding on to fat. And I'm like, hey,
Hmm.
wait a minute, right? Let's address your dysregulated nervous system,
Yeah.
right? And that's a big thing that I like to always have in my transformation programs for females. And it gets missed in a lot of programs. You know, you'll do a nutrition program, you'll do an exercise program, but understanding how to control your hormones, cortisol being one of them, insulin a really important one, right? You hear
Yeah.
menobelly, that's
Yep.
estrogen in your body not detoxing estrogen and your cortisol level being chronically elevated, right? And there's a lot more to just weight gain when your body is chronically elevated with cortisol. There's so much underlying inflammation going on that's leading to a lot of conditions. When you have different things popping up, especially like autoimmune, right? Autoimmune diseases impact 70% of them are females, right? For a
Yeah, and
reason,
they
and
have
that
just
can.
run rampant. Like they're just the number of people with autoimmune has just grown exponentially in the last few years. It's just been crazy.
Yeah, and that comes down to kind of what we were talking about before. That's that elevated cortisol. Life is
Yeah.
just so much busy right now. Our sleep patterns are totally off.
Yeah.
Hormonal imbalances, huge impact on
Huge.
autoimmune, right? I actually have a story that just happened to me. So
Oh,
I've been on HRT for like over 10 years. And this is
okay.
why when I have females come to me, I'll say, hey, we'll address your nutrition, we'll address your gut, we'll address your fitness, we'll address your lifestyle habits, get all that dialed in and HRT interventions as well. If they were already on that, I'll be like, well, when has your doctor like reassessed that? You really need to be working with somebody that is assessing that for you every like 3 months, bare minimum of 6 months. And they'll be like, oh, a year and a half ago. I was like, well, you really need to get that checked because things change. So, for instance, what happened for me is, I've been on estrogen for about 5 years, and about 6 months ago, woke up and I had this inflammatory condition in my shoulder, kind of an old injury, but nothing that really bugged me. And I couldn't barely move my arm out to my side. I couldn't do any flies, anything that was abduction related. I'm like, this is like really odd. If I injure myself, usually I know, and a
Right.
lot of females you'll notice is as you get into perimenopause, when your estrogen goes down, because your estrogen is protective, you have estrogen
Yes.
receptors in every part of your body, which is also why you start to feel crazy because that estrogen is coming down for you to remember things, for you to think clearly, for your cognitive ability,
Mhm.
for your libido, for your tissue, in your body as well too, and just through your arteries and your blood vessels. That's estrogen supports all that protective mechanism in your body for you. So there's so much more to estrogen than just thinking your levels are coming down. There's a lot of underlying issues that happen from a metabolic standpoint, not just a hormonal standpoint as well too, which can lead to a lot of problems down the road.
Oh, for sure. So, what are the things that you would like to tell women to stop doing that maybe that they're sabotaging fat loss? Because there's a list, I'm sure.
This might take an hour. Actually, I post a lot of this on my social media.
Yes, you
So
do. People should follow you. It's good stuff.
some super simple ones is ditch restrictive eating habits.
Yeah.
That was a big one for me, right? I
What was
was
it?
really excessive restriction, and then I'd go into binging behaviors and then back into restriction, and that really led down to years of metabolic issues and struggle losing weight. Stop prioritizing cardio over strength. We
Hmm.
need to build muscle. Muscle is your metabolic currency to your metabolism and balancing your hormones. Because your muscle is what shuttles in your glucose and allows you to burn carbs. So for a lot of women, they're like, I hit 40 and I eat a carb and I store it on my belly, right? That's insulin rising up, right? Which can change as you get into menopause. But a lot of times it's the type of carbs that we're choosing because our body becomes a lot more sensitive to inflammatory ingredients. And our food's completely different than it was like 20 years ago, right? So something that might have been okay, 20 years ago is highly inflammatory to now, right? Um, Stop thinking that you need to do more if you're
Mm.
already doing like 4 days a week consistently of training.
Yeah.
Um, Prioritize nutrition habits over absolutely everything. And that's one of our first pillars in our foundations to menopause wellness. Have a structured self care and stress management routine around your day. So, this is something daily.
So the whole
Um,
self-care is not selfish, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was a big one for me. And I think for a lot of women, we forget that we need to prioritize ourselves. And a lot of times, like once the kids have grown up, we realized, oh my God, like I've lost myself, not just physically, but like emotionally, mentally as well. And then you layer in hormonal shifts that are starting to happen, and that just amplifies absolutely everything that you're feeling. And sometimes you can feel hopeless if you don't have the answers and you don't really know who to turn to.
Right.
Treat your body like a temple. It's
Hmm.
the only one you get.
Yeah.
And build a solid foundation before you start any nutrition or exercise plan. And this is one of the first things that we dial in, just in my menopause community, is going through the four foundations for your long-term success with what your goals are and your results. And that's habit consistency,
Hmm.
accountability, commitment, and discipline and sacrifice. And habit consistency is the first thing that we always start with.
Okay.
Because if you can't be consistent for more than 3 months or a year, you're going to have a really hard time. And habit consistency is tough, right? It's tough for everybody. So don't feel like you're like, I just don't have the willpower, or I don't have the motivation. It's not about that. It's about developing different habits. And you don't have to, a lot of females, they think they're, if they're so far from where they feel like they need to be, they feel like if they start, there's just too much, especially if your life's really busy and you have a lot of things coming out of you when you're in perimenopause and you also can't think properly,
That's fair
you feel
point.
like your cup, if you add something more in your cup, it's like overfilling. You just can't deal with it and it feels more stressful for you. Where those little inputs are actually going to slowly bring down the anxiety that you're feeling, the overwhelm that you're feeling. But it's really know how to layer that in. And everyone's really individualized on where they're starting at. Right. I have some
Mhm.
women that are type A, say they were like me, and they're like, I actually have to spend more time dialing them down
Ah,
to take more time for themselves. And if they're overstressed, I'm like, you don't need to do more exercise. You need to do more self care because you can do all the exercise you want. Your body is not going to drop a percent of body fat because it's holding on to the stress and the cortisol it's got to deal with because your body will always prioritize healing. So if there's inflammation in the system, it's going to deal with that. It's not going to give you energy to help you burn fat. So we always want to understand, how do we control hormones first? More doesn't always mean better. And then if I have
absolutely.
somebody that's not doing anything, right, we start with nutrition first, optimize their gut to bring the inflammation down
Yep.
first, which primes your system. And then we can layer in fitness, where we're focusing on bringing up strength and increasing muscle mass through nutrition as well.
Right. So you mentioned the gut several times. How important is the gut for women in menopause or perimenopause?
It is number two on my core pillars to menopause wellness. The gut is not just about your stomach. There is gut axes through the entire body. There's the gut skin axis. There's the gut gonad axis. There's the gut vagina axis. The gut impacts every single cell of your body, how you feel, your neurotransmitters. So that's why, if you are someone that is having challenges with mental wellness, if
Mhm.
your mental wellness program does not include a gut health protocol, you're going to feel like you're running around in circles and you never really quite feel well. It's an integrated approach for things like that. And when you're going through perimenopause, because your hormones are balanced in your gut, if your gut is not doing well, if there's dysbiosis in there, where there's the bad bacteria is over the good bacteria that you have in there, and there's not good balance, and you're going to notice symptoms like digestive issues, food sensitivity is starting to increase. Constipation's a big one in perimenopause, or even diarrhea. Those are all signs that your body's in chaos and it's trying to get balanced.
Right.
And a lot of the time, I usually start nutrition, which is called a gut reset. And all we do is we take out about 10 inflammatory foods.
Mhm.
And
So give
it's
someone an example of an inflammatory food because sometimes people just don't have, women don't have any idea, or people in general just don't have any idea that a food could be inflammatory. They're just like, well, it's food. I just eat it. What's the difference, you know?
Yeah, good question. So I would say by the time women get to about 40, there's a couple things that usually they're not tolerating well. One's alcohol,
Mm,
one's gluten,
hmm.
and one's dairy.
Ah, which is
Um,
a lot of what people go to when they're not feeling well,
yes, absolutely. Right. The
right?
comfort
They're
foods.
having
Yeah.
yeah, that's a comfort thing. They're having a bad day, they have a glass of wine. They're rushed in the morning, they have a piece of toast. They're having, so mood swings and things, they'll grab ice cream. Like it just, those kinds of things tend to be the go-to and it makes you feel better in that moment. But what's it actually doing inside if you're eating inflammatory foods on repeat?
It's going to create more cortisol in your body because it's a stress response.
Yep.
Inflammation always creates that stress response. And for gluten, for most people, especially like here, in North America, is that the gluten is completely different in Europe.
Yeah.
So the problem a lot of time isn't in the gluten, it's actually the ingredients and the chemicals that are in the gluten that are creating a lot of those digestive
Thank you.
issues. Especially when
Absolutely.
people, yeah, because you can go to Europe. It's funny, you have clients that come back from Europe and they're like, I ate all the pizza and all the baguettes and all the sweets and like I didn't gain a pound, right? Other than you were moving all day, but you're also a lot of the ingredients, probably the main ingredients in all our food here are actually banned over there. So where you're not getting that inflammatory response of what you would have in a lot of the carbohydrates over there.
Yeah, no, for sure, because a lot of our crops are sprayed with glyphosates. They're grown with pesticides in them to be resistant to pests and things like that. And then we end up ingesting them and they don't really have to put them on the label. So unless you're eating organic, non-GMO like all the time, 24/7, 365, you're getting that micro dose of that or max dose depending on how much you're eating, right? And
Yeah.
so the other one then that goes with that would be what's your thoughts on protein? It's kind of the same a little bit, right? Like it's like you are what you eat, but you are what your food eats. So, how important would you say it is for your clients to try and eat organic and non-GMO, or is protein like with proteins especially?
Yeah, really important, right? We always want to look at whole foods, right? So when
Yeah.
we're looking at improving somebody's gut first, bring that inflammation down so their body can actually release fat, put on muscle, because cortisol is also, it's catabolic to muscle,
Yeah.
which means it burns muscle so you can be doing all the training you want, but you're going to be burning muscle if your cortisols are elevated, right?
Yeah.
And then it's anabolic to weight gain, right? So it's going to increase that menobelly, that belly fat that's going to increase and decrease your muscle, which is the two things you absolutely don't want for your
It's a total
metabolism.
exact opposite, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And
So,
even with like grains, and
oh
you
yeah.
might hear this a little bit more, but with grains, a lot of people can't tolerate grains now because about 20 years ago, our grains were sprayed with something that's called folic acid. So if you're someone that has methylation issues, which is almost 50%, it's higher in women, your body can't convert folate. And I actually have seen this in clients, and before I knew all this, their OB/YN was giving them folic acid vitamins. And I had this happen with a client. She kept having miscarriages. And I
Oh,
know now because she had all the symptoms for methylation issues and that it's a mutation. And if you're consuming grains and you're having digestive problems, that's why in the gut reset, when we take out grains, you're dropping a lot of inflammatory weight.
right. For sure.
So on average, a female, doing a gut reset, even just for as limited as 21 days, they're going to see anywhere from like a 7 to 15 pound weight loss drop. And a lot of that's inflammatory weight coming off of them. And then what they feel is they actually start to feel their energy comes back because
Yeah.
their body isn't using all its resources to bring down that inflammation. And then their hormones start to feel more balanced. Their hot flashes start to be so amplified. Their craving starts to come down because your blood sugar levels are balanced in your gut. And your cravings, when your cortisol is high, you're going to crave more. When your blood sugar levels are being dysregulated, you're going to crave more food,
Yeah.
unhealthy foods.
Yeah, for sure. So give us some examples of when you're talking about the person with that specific gene. It's the MTHFR gene, correct? Right? Like,
Yeah, it's kind of called the motherfucker gene.
yeah, I know, right? Because you see
Easiest
the
way to remember
acronym,
it.
it's like, oh, yeah, that could be that. So what are the symptoms that somebody, because if people don't know that, they just don't know that if there's 50% of the people, women especially, that have a sensitivity or that are not methylating properly, then what are some symptoms that would trigger them to go, oh, okay, maybe that's me.
Yeah, so common ones, anxiety.
Oh, okay.
Anxiety or depression. Yeah, because what happens is when your body can't convert folic acid, it builds up, kind of like estrogen building up. When you're becoming more estrogen dominant, you get all this different myriad of symptoms. Same thing with methylation when your body can't convert the folic acid. Yeah, so anxiety, depression, a lot of digestive issues.
Okay.
And you'll see this in kids. I see it way more common now because there's way more processed foods in our diet, is that kids that have behavior problems. So you'll see mood changes, right?
Hmm.
If you can change a kid's diet, stop feeding them pop, juice, processed foods, and they have behavior problems, that can change everything for that child.
Oh, for sure.
Where, I've talked to moms that change the kid's diet and they've been able to actually go back to school. Say they've had to bring the kid out of school, which is highly, stressful on a mom in
Yeah.
having to do that by just changing foods. Or even, when we're looking at supplementation for women, a lot of supplementation isn't methylated. So, I can take somebody's supplementation, we can just switch it out and they feel like a different person
B
because
vitamins are a really good example for that. People are buying
exactly.
B
Yeah.
vitamins and not knowing that they need to
Yeah.
look for methyl in the title of it, in the description of it. If they flip it over, right, they think it's vitamins, it's all good, it's a vitamin. But you're right, there's certain things some people can't metabolize.
Absolutely. Yeah. So those are, kind of side things that are actually really important for females to know. Just really simple switches on kind of knowing how to kind of understand that, because that will also cause more hormonal imbalance with you if you're
Right.
taking in all those things, because it impacts the gut.
So do you have your clients to go then and have a test to see, like all your women, do you send them to see if they have that gene, if they're, having trouble methylating or anything like that?
Yeah, so one of the best tests that you can do,
Hmm.
and you would have to go see either a naturopathic physician or a functional medicine doctor for this.
Okay.
And I, recommend this for any of my females that are in perimenopause or they're in menopause, like postmenopause as well, and they're having, hormonal changes, is it's
Hmm.
called the Dutch test. And the
Okay.
Dutch test is a lot more predictable as far as it's a 24-hour urine test, right? Because when you go for blood tests, it's literally what was your hormones at that moment, right?
True.
So a lot of women are getting tests back and their doctor's saying, oh, you're fine, because it doesn't depend on their levels. It depends on your ratios,
Yeah.
right? So a Dutch test will assess your ratios of your progesterone, your estrogen, and your testosterone, how your T4, your T3 is converting as well, too, because your thyroid also controls your fat loss for you as well and your
Yes.
fat burning hormones. It also assesses your methylation if you have a methylation in that test. It also assesses how's your adrenals, what are your nutrition deficiencies, and all those compound to decide if your body's going to lose fat or not. So it's not just one thing, right? It's combination
Yeah.
of cortisol, it's fasting blood glucose, right? And that's one of the easiest tests you can do. Looking at a lipid panel for you too is super
Hmm.
important. All these things change as you're getting into menopause. There's so many different underlying issues that are changing. You can set you up for a lifelong health issues if you don't know how to assess those properly.
Absolutely.
So the
And
Dutch test is my recommendation for everything, for hormones, for
yeah.
methylation, for adrenal, cortisol, nutrition deficiencies. Nutrition deficiencies, you can also go get more specific testing for that as well. Especially, if you've done a gut reset, you've got the right supplementation, you've switched that out, you got your exercise, and you're still having digestive issues, or you're struggling to lose body fat. One of the things that I address is targeted supplementation in weight loss. I don't like to say weight loss, but fat loss, right? So
Fat loss.
body recomposition,
Right.
right? Because you can be
Exactly.
skinny fat and very unhealthy.
Absolutely, you can. And I think that's important for women to know too, right? It's not just that number on the scale can mean an entirely different thing. And I've seen your pictures that you've posted. Like today at 100 and I think what 170 it was you posted that picture and before at 170 you were whatever the number was you were at exactly the same number and you didn't even look like the same person.
Yeah, completely different health perspective, right? So I've been
Completely different.
170, yeah, 170 pounds with probably close to 30% body fat. And I've been 170 pounds at 10% body fat. Completely different health status. And the main denominators in that, nutrition, number one, nutrition habits. Yeah.
Yeah.
And self-care. Yeah. And
Mm,
self-care was all about hormonal balance, like bringing down that cortisol, chronic cortisol that was spiked.
yeah. So what's the best if someone, because this is probably overwhelming for a lot of people thinking, oh my gosh, they're checking off the list of all the things that they now are thinking, oh my gosh, what are all these things wrong? What would be the first thing if you said, okay, if somebody wanted to start making some improvements today, what would be like the one thing that you'd say, start here? Just do one thing and start here.
Yeah, so nutrition number one, right?
Yep.
I'll go through my six so women kind of
Yes,
understand kind of
please
the
do that. That'd be
process
great.
on, yeah, what to prioritize first and then
Hmm.
how we can kind of layer things in. So we always want to go back to the basics because a lot of times we're trying to do all these things and we need to do this and then we need to do that and just keep it simple, right?
Yeah.
Get back to the basics so your body can learn to like re-heal and rebuild again. So number one is nutrition habits. Number two is going to be gut optimization. Number three is going to be strength and impact activity. So we're looking at bone and muscle health and brain health as well too. Number four is going to be lifestyle habits. So that's looking at stress management, nervous system regulation, sleep, consistency. Number five is targeted supplementation. And number six is HRT interventions and support.
Okay.
So, number one, nutrition. So, if we give you any tips to do something super simple, it would be to choose whole foods. So,
Yeah.
going the outside of the perimeter, staying away from the packaged foods,
Yeah.
and then we can teach you later how to really look at ingredients, right? Because there's, highly processed seed oils, very inflammatory.
So
If you're
toxic.
yeah, if you're having a lot of gut issues, a lot of hormonal challenges, energy is really low, stay away from eating out, quit
Hmm.
the alcohol, start feeding your body with food a good way to look at it is when I talk about gut reset is if you can't kill it or grow it, don't eat it.
I love it. I love
Right?
that.
Hydrations are a really important one, right? So
Yeah.
minimum, I would say 2.5 liters of water. If you're someone that's literally at 1 liter a day, just make a goal. Hey, I'm going to do 1.5, and then start to kind of build that up, right? Hydration is really important. If you're dehydrated, your body's also not going to burn fat.
Right.
If you're taking in any vitamins and nutrients, your body's not going to be able to transport those properly in your system. So you're still going to feel tired because your body's not actually getting those nutrients, especially if you're spending money on supplementation. So one of the most simple things that you can do. And then, because we're talking about fat loss today, I would say the two most important things in your nutrition program for dropping body fat and gaining muscle is protein and fiber intake.
Hmm. Yep. No, for sure. And so, how many women do you find that are actually getting enough protein when you talk to them?
Very good question. This is actually a good stat. This is actually my stat, but
Okay.
um, I've had all different sorts of women come work with me on their nutrition, and a lot of clients even just coming in for personal training because they want to exercise, and they're struggling to lose body fat, and they just think they need to exercise. And I always
That's
say to
where
them,
they
so
start, isn't it? Anyone, women who want to lose weight, they think I need to go to the gym, which is, I'm super glad that you actually, recruited that, put the nutrition and all this to piece for your clients. They don't know how lucky they are to have you because you're not just telling them to work out harder.
yeah, and
So
obviously muscle is really important,
it
right? So if I
is
have
what it
someone
is,
that's been
but
off of training
yeah,
for a while, I'm like, yeah, we need to build muscle. But if they're struggling to lose body fat, I always
yeah,
say, how's your nutrition? So I said, just write down like what you eat in a day.
yeah,
Um, and this could be anywhere from women that are already fit and they're training hard already, or somebody who's, not training at all.
yeah.
100% of the time, protein is too low. Usually, a lot of women on average are only taking in 40 to 50 grams of protein a day. Most women need 130 to 150. Easiest way for anybody to look at their protein intake is I go by this. It's super simple for anybody to remember is take your target body weight. So as an example, if your target body weight, healthy target body weight is, as an example, is 150 pounds, look at plus or minus 10. So 140 to 160 grams of protein per day. So if you're only eating 2 meals a day, it's really hard to get that protein intake in there,
Well, and
right?
your body can't properly metabolize that much at a time if you're eating that much, but only in two portions.
Yeah. And especially, most women are challenged with energy, right? And our energy levels don't do well when our blood sugar levels are not stable, where they're up and down all the time. When your insulin's up and your insulin's down, your insulin's up and down, your body isn't also going to burn fat because it's in chaos from hormonal imbalances and blood sugar dysregulation.
Yeah.
So if I can get a female to just start with eating every 3 to 4 hours of protein, fat, carb, whole food based,
Yep.
we can change so much in literally 3 weeks. It's crazy seeing what changes.
Yeah.
Um, the very first time I actually ever implemented gut health supplementation plan and really focus on just nutrition and habits. And like usually I would always do exercise. This is like years ago. Didn't even touch exercise at all. And we did a 3 hour consult on just nutrition, habits, and supplementation. And this was the first time I ever did this. And this person lost 25 pounds in 3 weeks. And like, I was blown away. I was
That's
like, what?
amazing.
I was like, and I was blown away. I'm a coach, right? I was like, okay, there's something to this gut and
Yes.
habits and nutrition. And that actually client changed how I coached. And from there
Wow.
on, I focus on the foundations first, on also why women quit, on developing your commitment to your plan and the meaning and the value behind what you're doing, what you want to do that allows us not to quit, but also looking at what simple things do we need to add in to nourish our body. Because we've, as women, we spent years restricting our body,
Mhm.
even taking out food groups, not feeding our bodies. And the two number one, or actually the top two things I notice with females that are struggling with body fat and their body
Mhm.
holding on to fat is low protein
Yep.
and low calories,
Hmm.
right? And then fasting is another topic.
Yeah, it is totally. I totally
Intermittent
understand.
fasting. Yeah.
So what causes women to quit? What if they're getting results, right? They're doing this thing, they've started, they're healing their gut. What causes them to quit?
Great question. This is something I spent a lot of time on in my menopause community.
Yeah.
So learning how it's stress actually. So learning how to shift gears when life happens is the most important
Mm.
thing I can ever teach my clients, right? It's obviously nutrition's good, exercise is great, but how to shift gears mentally when life gets tough. And
Yeah.
Christmas is coming up soon as well too, or even
Uh-huh.
any event that's coming up, right? Which can be very stressful, can be very emotional for people, depending on who you have to spend your time with in your family.
That's right.
Even situations that you don't want to be in. There's a lot of emotional things that are coming up, and teaching women how to shift gears, right? And I have had to do this myself as well too, with different times with work where I've had a huge amount of work and high amount of stress where I just haven't been able to work out, right? So everything's la-di-da-di if, you got your routine in and you got your exercise in, and then say something happens, whether you got a massive work project, say you got and this happens lots, right? Especially around our age. We have a family member, a parent that gets sick, right?
Ah,
And a lot
that's
of times we're like, okay, well, I'm going to give up on my nutrition. I'm going to give up on my exercise routine because I just can't keep the same volume that I had,
yep.
right? Where what I like to teach women is let's shift gears. Maybe 10 minutes is actually more beneficial for you right now.
Yeah.
I'd actually rather have a female be more consistent with 10-minute workouts a day than going to the gym for an hour twice a week because it'll
Yes.
help regulate your nervous system better with consistency in the week.
And it's going to keep those habits lasting longer, right? Because you've already now niche that in. It's part of your day or part of your schedule kind of thing. And so you keep the habit. You may not be able to do as much of it as you want, but you've kept the time slot as opposed to
Yeah, and the
just
shifting
getting rid of it,
gears.
as opposed to just dropping it cold turkey. And just because we all know it doesn't take very long to get out of a habit,
Yes. Yeah.
but it sure
And
takes a
then
while to get it back
yeah.
sometimes, right?
Yeah, I'll do it on Monday. I'll do it next month and then like 2
Right.
years down the road. But I think the
Yeah.
biggest thing for women to understand with shifting gears is what does my body need right now? So if you're under a lot of stress and say you're, working out 4 or 5 days a week or whatever that might be for you, and something very stressful comes in. It could be something with your kid. It could be an addiction with a family member. It could be something with one of your good friends. It could be your parents getting ill. It could be a grief, death of a loved one. It could be a divorce, like anything that's very high stress, even work related, things like that, or loss of a job, is what does my body need right now in order for me to thrive hormonally and mentally? Right. So looking at the
Mhm.
gut brain axis is so say your self care is usually here, your exercise, is here. Sometimes we need to shift gears. Maybe the exercise needs to come down because we need to manage the cortisol and the stress that's going on. And our percentage of what we do for self care needs to come up a little bit so we can manage that and
Yes.
also not hit a wall because we get so exhausted because our adrenals will get overtaxed. But the number one thing that should always be across the road is maintaining your nutrition. Because if your nutrition goes down the road, which happens a lot of time when we stress, because then we start emotionally eating, and then that causes the stress to be so much more amplified because now our body's got to deal with the inflammation of the food we're putting in. And then we're also not getting that neurotransmitter for us to feel calm, which is
That's
your
right.
GABA. So we're not
So
getting that connection and we get sicker,
yeah,
right? Because our
so
immune system's in the middle.
you just sort of kicked your, cut off your nose to spite your face kind of thing, right? You just shot yourself in the foot doing that. And it's just things go downhill really fast after that.
Yeah, so I think just for women understanding is when stressful situations come in, just take a moment, step back and go, okay, what does
Mhm.
my body need right now?
Yeah.
Right. And be like, okay, maybe I need a little bit more self-care. Maybe I need to go to the wellness spa, do a little bit of sauna, do some stretching in there, do a little bit of meditation,
Yeah.
create maybe a better nighttime routine for myself, especially if you're not sleeping well. Maybe I'm just gonna have a meditation app or even just do some simple box breathing, set my timer for five
Yep.
minutes, 10 minutes, and do that every single night.
Yeah.
And having those outlets that calm your brain down, calm your hormones down, because they're all connected. When we calm your brain down,
Mhm.
settle down your gut, because we'll notice is when we're under stress, we start to have digestive issues show up. We start to feel more fatigued. Our sleep is off,
Yeah,
right? There's so many other symptoms that come to that. And if
for
you're in
sure.
perimenopause and your hormones are already quite fragile, when you pour stress in the
Mhm.
mix, you're going to see those hormones amplify. So if we can keep nutrition as the main thing, because you have control of that what you put in your mouth,
You do.
right?
Yeah.
Stress we can't control, but we can control our reaction to it
Yep. For sure.
and how
Those
we
are
and how we manage that and modulate those symptoms. And if we're always having stress coming into our life, we might sometimes need to look at what are our boundaries.
right. And I think thinking about that ahead of time to be sort of preemptive, like we all know that life's going to happen at some point. Like it's not going to be roses and rainbows like forever. There's going to be a disruption of some description, whether it's good or whether it's not so great. But I always ask my clients, I said, think about, because usually if something's happened, I said, okay, what would you have liked to have done in that situation? And then they go, oh, yeah, okay, I would have liked to have done this and this. I said, okay, so let's write that down now. Think about that as a plan because you're starting to create a little pathway there in your brain, a little thought, so that next time something kind of, smacks you, your go-to is going to be, oh, wait, okay, I already made a plan for this. And it's more likely that you may go to something that you've already thought about rather than just, chaos hits and so you grab the muffin or you stop eating or whatever it is, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So
And
thinking
you're
about
right.
a
It
plan.
goes both ways for women. Either females will either stop eating, which
Yes,
now you're not getting your body nutrients. It's not going to be able to feel
totally.
calm. That's
Y-
that's the other side of cortisol raising is it's not getting fed,
Yeah.
which happens over time with females that also aren't feeding their body properly and they're nutrient deficiencies. That's another cortisol response for them when they're not feeding. So when you
Yeah.
start actually giving them ample food and stabilizing their
Hmm.
blood sugar levels, they feel better. And then some women are the other end, which was actually more me. I was more of an emotional eater and I had to really break through those habits on understanding why I was emotionally eating and what was
Right.
triggering that, and that why my response was different to that.
Yeah. No, I can totally relate. Like there's both ends of the spectrum and people can be either or, a combination at different points in their life, right? I remember I was the stopped eating one.
Mm,
Went through a divorce. I got down to about 109 pounds. And I just remember one day I was in the kitchen with my mom and all of a sudden I was on the floor. Like I
wow.
just, passed out and woke up on the floor
Yeah.
and my mom's like, "What is going on?" And I hadn't really realized how that I wasn't eating.
Yeah. You're so
Like
depleted.
yeah, I was just so depleted that I
Yeah.
was just like I just passed out. And that was just, I was just done. And so yeah, that was a really big wake up call for me because, you're in the health and fitness industry and yet here you are passing out for no apparent reason in the middle of the kitchen. Like, whoa, it's like, but yeah, we really need to prioritize I totally agree with you. Food is number one. Food is our foundation. And
Yeah,
we get that in
and looking
right.
at food, like a lot of times we look at food as the enemy, or it's almost
Mm,
like a punishment, right?
yeah.
And I did a post actually, I was thinking it was like last week about there aren't any bad foods, but there are foods that either serve your body or don't serve your body. So when you're
Yeah.
choosing foods, a lot of times we get disconnected with things we're just feeding us on mindlessly, especially when we're under stress. And thinking about what are we putting on our body and actually recognizing if we're putting something unhealthy in our body, how do we actually feel after? Do we feel, a lot of times we kind of don't even look at that, is do we feel like our energy goes down? Do I have digestive issues after I eat that?
Right.
Am I not sleeping well that night when I eat or drink that? Right. So when
Yeah.
we can take that moment and actually look at what's going on and what we're doing
Mhm.
versus, staying in that over heightened,
So like do a little
stress
check-in,
response.
do a little check-in afterwards at the end of the day kind of thing and go, oh, how am I
Yeah, and
feeling
just take
today?
a moment on
Yeah.
what's, happening in your life, and you're just recognizing, the stress that you're under and being
Mhm.
like, okay, what do I have a choice of right now and control? I'm out of control, whatever that stress of, especially if it's somebody else that's causing that stress for you, on what can I do to help manage that from a hormonal and, a brain perspective on what's
Right.
going to help control that stress for me, and that's going to be food.
Yeah. And
Food,
so
sleep.
yeah, food and sleep, two biggies for sure. Now, alongside with food, I know that you recommend supplements. I do them as well because I don't think we can get everything that we need every single day,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah, so I
So
use
go ahead. What do you like? What's
yeah,
your
you're
sort
the
of a
supplement queen.
brief on that? Yeah.
Yeah, so I have what's called my recommendation for a menopause supplement stack, and that's
Okay.
looking at the foundation. So, what happens as we get into perimenopause is our requirements actually for all these micronutrients and trace
Mhm.
minerals actually increase.
Yeah.
And for women that are becoming deficient in that, especially if they aren't eating a lot of whole foods, they don't have a lot of diversity. So gut diversity is another thing as well too that helps protect our overall health, but also helps us with weight loss and
Yeah.
gaining muscle. Is having a combination of different foods. So if you're eating the same thing all the time, you're not going to have a very good gut microbiome that has diversity in it, which can cause problems.
For sure. And so, what would you, if somebody were thinking, yeah, I'm probably not eating enough fruits and vegetables, I'm not doing what, so what would you put them on then? Would you just give them a vitamin? Would you tell them to go buy vitamin? What would you do?
Yeah, there's a company that I work with
Mhm.
that is they do all gut brain access supplementation, all science backed, and I have a supplement stack that I use as what I call foundational supplements
Okay.
for menopause, but anyone just overall health, right? Even the men that I work with as well too. That is an anti-inflammatory supplement, so it's protecting a lot
Mhm.
of different things. Because I can take someone's supplement plan and say they're spending like all this money on like 8 different supplements. They could be tablets that are being filtered through the liver first. So really, by the time it actually gets to their system, they're hardly getting any of it, right? So
Right.
that's why it's really important that you know the type of supplements you're getting. I
Yep.
personally would never buy supplements from Costco, but
Yep. I'm with you
there,
there.
yeah, there's so much more to supplementation, and I really like to, some people are spending hundreds of dollars on supplements, and they're not doing anything for them, and some of them are actually more harmful because of the ingredients in them, but people just don't know that.
Yeah. That's it.
So
That's a
back to your
really,
question on what I
really
would
good.
recommend,
Yeah,
there is a
exactly.
particular supplement that is an high antioxidant that has all your methylated B vitamins in it. It's got amino acids in it. It's got L-theanine in it as well too, which is a calming effect.
Yep.
So that one I would say is actually one of the most popular supplements that I give women, and it's also a liquid, so it absorbs, and it's also third party tested, which means is when you take it in, and when that supplement has been processed, it's also checked is the amount and the dose that was put in is you're also getting it at the end because most it's not regulated for supplements.
Yes.
So most supplements can say on the label, oh, it's 80% this or whatever, but by the time they've gone in the process, you got like 2% left in there.
Yeah, if there's not proper regulation, you're right, exactly. And people, they don't know that. And even, things going through Health Canada, unless it's a, pharmaceutical grade or something or nutraceutical grade or something like that, which is not on the shelves at Costco or any grocery store. Just saying, right? Like you have to kind of be intentional and get them from your health professional, get them from, you
Yeah.
or, get them from your person who's helping you because they have done their due diligence. Hopefully they've done their due diligence and checked those things out, right? Like there's a reason why
Yeah.
you and I recommend certain products to our clients
Totally.
is because we've done the work, right? Like we know what's in it and what's not.
And I was actually my own testing product. So,
Oh, okay.
um, how you and I actually met, and you had no idea. I don't know if the universe was just coming together or what, but you had approached me on social media and just had made a comment. I don't even remember now. It was something about
Yeah, I loved
supplementation.
one of your workout things that you did. And so I was like, oh, that's really cool, and so anyway, yeah, it was great. I know that we just got connected and I didn't even realize you lived here. So I am super
Well,
thankful
you
for that
actually
because
didn't know I was going through brutal gut digestive symptoms at the time and hormonal issues, like major, major stuff when we connected.
Mhm.
And you had no idea. So that's why
Yeah.
it was kind of like the universe was coming and you actually helped me start on a supplementation program and things started to shift. And I say with females too, like say they're very exhausted and they're like to think of like starting an exercise program seems too much. I'd be like, hey, why don't we just start you on some supplementation? We can improve your gut and your inflammation so you start just feeling better, because when you feel better, you start sleeping better, you have more energy, you are going to feel more motivated to go out there. So sometimes that is like the first step to really help females start feeling better and just bring some of that inflammation down that's creating so much chaos in their body.
Absolutely. I know because sometimes women are, like you said, they just can't, they're just so exhausted and so depleted. They just don't have the energy or the focus or anything to meal prep, to food plan, to get out and walk for 10 minutes. Like they can barely make it through the day. And
Yeah.
so sometimes just starting with that, I've seen that make a difference too with a few of
Yeah.
my women for sure. So yeah, I'm super thankful that it
Yeah,
helped
I don't
you.
know even knew if you
You
knew that.
told me afterwards. You told me a little bit afterwards. You're like, "Did you know?" And I was like, "I had no idea. I didn't see anything that you'd posted on that. Nothing." But I'm super thankful that it was, so helpful for you, and that now you have been able to affect positively so many of your clients in the same way. That's the whole thing, that the whole ripple effect of when we as health professionals find something that really works well for us or for our clients, that we can now help more people with it.
Totally. Yeah.
That's just the best thing in my opinion. It's like the best thing ever, right? So totally. Okay. So oh my goodness, tell us where people can find you, because you're just like all over. Oh, you have your new, let's just do this first. You have your new course out, the strong and courageous life. I love that because the core is like, the middle of us. It
Part of
holds
the
us
fitness
up.
part of it.
The fitness part of it holds us all up, right? It's the middle there. So your strong and courageous life. Give us a little blurb about that. What is that, and how can people join that?
Yeah, so with my in-person business, which I've, had for a while, is created an amazing community there. And I wanted to create an online community, especially with what happened with COVID, right? We never know what's going to happen on in the future where
That's
we
right.
are disconnected. And I really wanted to have a platform and a space for women to know exactly what they need to do in their menopause health program to feel well again, and also have the community support there for them, have the coaching, also the medical team, because we have a medical team within that community as well too, which I can refer out to for education on HRT and interventions, and also being connected with whether you want to have a private doctor or whether you want to do a group situation, which is a lot more cost effective, because those type of interventions can be expensive for a lot of females because they're not recognized as much in everything else, right? We can get any
Right.
medication covered, but we
No,
can't get hormones covered that naturally occur in our body by identical hormones, right?
go
So
figure. I
that
don't
is
know.
changing, hopefully, and that
Yes,
will,
hopefully
in the next
soon.
couple of years be better. So I want to create a community with everything that helps a female improve their overall longevity, their wellness, and also transform their body. Because one of the things that the number one thing that women complain about going into menopause and perimenopause is I've gained 10 pounds, I've gained 20 pounds, and I don't know how to get rid of it. I'm trying to diet, I'm trying to exercise, and it won't budge.
Yeah.
So the program is built around structure where we do a phase one, bringing down inflammation. First, that we do through nutrition, habit consistency. So there's a little fun challenge that we do at the start, and then bring you into a phase two, which is called the metabolic mastery phase, where you learn how to master your metabolism through blood sugar balance, food intake, and then layering on some of those things with the fiber intake and the fermented foods that are going to really optimize your gut. And we really focus on all those gut optimization protocols to help improve that, which brings that overall wellness and energy back to your system, rebalances your hormones for you. And then there's the fitness part of it as well too. So whether you're beginner, intermediate, advanced, there's over 30 programs on there that you can choose from, whether you're at
Cool.
home, you're at the gym, you're traveling, you're in a hotel room, you have 5 minutes to do something. So it covers everything. And I wanted it to be an accountability program for females. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. It doesn't matter, where you are, if you're at home, if you're somewhere else, if you're stuck and you had an ill parent and you're literally stuck at somebody's house and you just need to move, or you just need the support in the meantime if, life is crazy, with weekly coaching calls for support, and just directing women on exactly what they need to do from a supplementation standpoint, from a nutrition standpoint, how to optimize their gut, what they need to exactly do for fitness, right? We didn't really
Nice.
go over fitness too much because we're running out of time,
I
but
know.
strength training needs to be the number one goal to increase muscle, because
Agreed.
in perimenopause, we lose about 30% of our bone and our muscle if we're not eating properly and if we're not loading up the bone and the muscle. So walking isn't enough,
Right.
right?
Okay,
We need
let's
to be
just say
doing
that
strength
again for
training.
those who didn't hear that, right? How much are we losing of our muscle and our bone if we're not doing this?
30%. So
30%
that's why,
people.
yeah, so that's why
Seriously.
prevention is really important.
So
And
much.
that's one of the things that I like to educate women on so they don't have to go through what I went through,
Yeah.
is priming your body before you even get into perimenopause.
But
But
okay, for
if you're
if you're in, okay, go ahead. Yeah, if you're in menopause already, like you haven't started already and people are saying, "Oh my gosh, it's too late for me." Is it too late?
never too late.
Never.
I have
Okay.
taken 75-year-old clients who have had a lot of, actually, one of them in particular had long COVID. So when she came to
Oh,
me, she had hormonal imbalances, right?
yeah.
Low estrogen for how many years? Because, in that age group, no women knew about that and was getting chronic UTIs, which is an easy fix. It's just vaginal estrogen, right? And low estrogen causes heart disease, causes hip fractures, causes breast cancer, your top three killers of women, right? Which is
Yep.
preventable, right? And started doing strength training with her, really worked on her nutrition, her gut. You should see her now. She's like phenomenal.
I love your clients. They
She's
are,
80 actually, right? She's 80.
my gosh, they're so cute. Your older people, your older seniors there, they are rocking it.
Oh
They're
yeah, they're rock
strong.
stars, right? So females thinking, I'm too old for that. Any age you can do absolutely anything, because I've seen the transformation in these women, and a lot of times we don't value our health sometimes until it's, I don't want to say too late, but in those older ages when things start to go awry,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, no, good point. Absolutely good point. So, okay, so where can people find you?
Yeah, so I have my website is Shannon O'Gorman coaching.com.
Okay.
And you can go on there, click really any button, and it will just direct you to a quick consultation form. You can just kind of put in what
Mhm.
you're looking for and what you want to connect with me about. I also have social media. I'm a little more active on my Instagram account, which is Shannon underscore O'Gorman underscore. You'll know if it's me because everything is menopause on there. So if you guys want any hacks, you want all those simple little reels on everything that we talked about today, it's all on my Instagram. I also have two Facebooks as well, business one and a private one, but they're both exactly the same.
Cool. Awesome. So yeah, that's amazing. And so yeah, if you guys are interested in any of this stuff, do follow her on social media, and I will put these in the show notes. So anyone who's watching, just go down below, click on them, and you can find Shannon and yeah, and join her courageous program and get some help with your menopause
Yeah,
symptoms.
so we have a online program which is called Strong and Courageous, and then
Yeah.
I also have a in-person and rehab company as well. Obviously, I'm a kinesiologist and an exercise phys, so I've done rehab for about 25 years. And we have an indoor program and an outdoor program. I train at a private personal training and rehab studio. But I also have an outdoor program, which I started in COVID because that's all we could do. And it took a life of its own. It's actually one of my favorite programs to run. Everybody loves it. We have a massive community that we do, and that goes from May until September. And that's me bringing out 1,000 pounds of gear to the field. So
I
that is
know. I can't
flown.
believe it when you told me that. You're like, that's
You
like
gotta
your
come. You
workout
gotta
every
come
day,
out and join
hauling that
us.
gear around for your people.
Yeah, I am a lot leaner in the summer, let me tell you, because I'm hauling all that stuff. I don't actually have to do do as much training.
That's right.
But everybody loves it, and it's all about, I like to call it the outdoor therapy program, because we all feel amazing because we're out in the sunlight. We got lots of room on the grassy field. It's such a great social environment. A lot of my girls are like best friends. They've met each other in group training, and they've been friends for years. And I love that about that program. And yeah, and now we have an indoor one. So I do private, partner, and small group training right now. And yeah, and then the online menopause community I do in a group program, which is called the Strong and Courageous, and I also do for a private coaching program as well too, if you want a little bit more personalized, customized care.
Awesome. You just do it all, Shannon. I love it. So yeah, if you guys are in Kelowna, anyone who's watching this, if you're local, yeah, you do need to check out her outdoor group trainings. They are just so much fun. They're always laughing and they're always having a good time. And sometimes they even dress up and do fun stuff.
Oh yeah, obstacle
Like,
courses. Those are fun. We do obstacle courses and prizes and events. And I also do outdoor events. I have one coming up in a week. Our outdoor events are always open to the community as well. You're welcome to bring a friend, a friendly dog if you want to bring with you. So we have a hike coming up this week, but we do different things like snowshoe, bowling, lots of kind of fun stuff, and that's open to anybody.
That's super cool that you do that. And it's just another layer that you've added that most trainers just don't do. Like it's just not a thing that trainers would do. But it's kind of goes to your whole body wellness, right? You've got the community in there as well
Yes.
too. And I think
And I
that's
look at it as you guys are my family, right? I spend the most amount of time with you.
that's
So let's have fun.
that's right. Because life's too short not to have fun, right?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being on today. I was just super excited to have you here. And yeah, we'll have to connect again when in the
Yes, thanks so much,
spring
Tanya, for
when
having me
you
on your podcast.
oh, you're welcome. Well, we'll connect again when your program's out in the spring and we'll have you back.
Awesome.
Okay. Thanks.
Have a great day.
You too.